And if you could close your windows.
Justin, are you talking? Or
I am talking.
I don't know.
I am, yes.
Okay.
Leyla, can you close your window? There you go. All right. Okay. Today we have the privilege of welcoming Leyla Brashka, the artist behind I'll get this right, Leyla, I swear. Kauyumari Ceremonial Center, a piece that carries living tradition from the deserts of Mexico all the way back to the dust of Black Rock City. In the Wirikuta language, Kauyumari is the blue deer, a sacred spirit inseparable from peyote, the land, and the ancestors of one of Mexico's most resilient and enduring cultures. The Wixarika people have protected peyote and the Wirikuta Desert in San Luis Potosí across generations, holding it as a bridge between the living and the divine. On the playa, Leyla brought that unbroken bond to life in the form of a large handcrafted blue deer sculpture that you see behind us, a living symbol of a people, a sacred plant, a desert, and a spirit world that has never stopped speaking. This is not just an art piece, it is an act of honoring. And Leyla is here to share the story behind the work, the culture it draws from, the intention poured into every handcrafted detail. And there is a lot of detail on this piece.
Yeah.
And what it means to bring this kind of sacred symbolism into the heart of Black Rock City. So please, let's give a warm BurnerSphere welcome to Leyla Brashka.
Yay!
Yeah.
Yeah. Excellent. So, Leyla, before we
Thank
get
you.
into the... Yes, indeed. Before we get into the piece itself, what was your first connection to Wixarika culture, and how did that relationship begin for you personally?
So it was around 11 years ago. It was actually my first peyote ceremony. Like, peyote, it's a cactaceae of Mexico that it's the plant, it's a sacred plant that the Wixarika culture are related to, and they do ceremonies related to this plant. And it's the one that it's related to Kauyumari, which is their spiritual animal. So I had this first ceremony just a little after my dad passed away. So it really helped me a lot to go through all the sadness and all the suffering that's related to him being gone. So since then, I really felt like the grandfather peyote, that's how we call it, like took me by the hand and helped me go through it. And since then, I basically am in this path of the peyote and the Wixarika culture. So basically, that's why it's an offering for me. It's a way to say thank you for all the medicine that it has given me since this time towards all these years. So yeah, it's a way to say thank you, and a way also to make it visible to other people, like all the importance of reconnecting to our roots, and yeah, and a way to spread the medicine that it carries, the deer and the peyote and all this culture.
So the blue deer, the Kauyumari, carries enormous sacred significance. Can you talk a little bit about what it means to you to take a symbol of that weight and translate it into a physical sculpture on the playa? How do you even begin to approach a responsibility like that?
Yeah, so basically, as I was saying, like it was a way as to do an honor to this deer, to this peyote that, as you said, they are correlated. So basically, the way they are correlated, it's because, like in this culture, there was a point where they were with hunger. So there's a story that they tell that they ask their youngest men to go to the desert and find some food. So they found a deer, and they were already tired and like needed to recover, sleep, and all that. So the deer felt compassion for them, So he offered himself to be eaten, to be cut. So when they cut him, throw the arrow, and with this arrow that wound him, he was walking, and in each of these steps, he was leaving peyote. So when they go and see where the arrow was, they saw it that it was in a peyote cactus, but it was the deer that offered himself to them, made out of peyotes. So they took all this peyote to their land, and that's how they survived. And since then, it's it's how this correlation of the peyote with the deer came, and that's how the deer converted to be their spiritual animal. So basically, I wanted to do this offering because of all this story and the story that I told you of being very like beautiful experience to help me with my dad's being gone. And when I was thinking of doing this offering, first it was going to be a smaller, quite smaller offering, in the sense that I was going to do a deer to get it into the Quemado hill, that it's the hill that when you go into a pilgrimage with them, you go up and you do the offering there. So I wanted to do a deer that was big enough, but still small enough to put it up there. And while I was visualizing this, I felt the call to make this bigger one, which is this one that we're looking at, that it's actually a ceremonial center. So basically the visual, it was me as a vehicle. It wasn't really my idea per se. It was mine, but you know what I mean? So so basically that's how the Kauyumari Ceremonial Center was born. And then yeah, everything kind of started fitting into the puzzle and finding the people to work along with it. Like I contacted the Wixarika people that I know, and I told them about this. They already knew that I was willing to do an offering, but not this specific one that I'm telling you, like the ceremonial center. So yeah, we put hands into it, and we started first of all contacting them, asking them permission. Then we went to the desert to ask permission to Kauyumari and to the peyote to actually do this offering and materialize it in their world. And then start looking for people that will be involved in it. And we're basically around 50 people that's involved in creating this ceremonial center that took 1 year to make.
So there's sort of two aspects of this. One is building a large scale sculpture like this, and then the other one is really building this ceremonial center that is about honoring rather than just sort of representing something. What was your experience going into this project as both an artist? Had you built something of this scale before and this deep level of detail? And have you ever built anything that was built really as a ceremonial center?
No, this is the first time that I was doing something to be an actual ceremonial center. Like I have done other, in this case, sculptures, which was like, for example, Quetzalcoatl was also in a way an offering, but it wasn't an actual ceremonial center. So this one, it's really made with the purpose of being a ceremonial center to be held peyote ceremonies in the inside. It's actually meant to first move around to places to spread the word, to spread the medicine, but at the end it will be in a sacred land of this culture to be able to be a ceremonial center and be able to have peyote ceremonies in the inside.
So the Wirikuta people have protected peyote and the Wirikuta Desert across generations. So how did learning that history of protection and resilience influence your intention that you brought to this work?
Yeah, it really did make a difference for me because the peyote is actually a very sacred plant, and sadly, some people like just take like some people do take it as a sacred plant that it is, and they go directly to the Wixarika people and they do ceremony with them as I do and other people do. But some people just go into the desert and try to get the peyote just for kind of recreation purposes, which is not the actual purpose of connecting with this plant. So yeah, it's a way also of saying like, hey, this is all that it's behind peyote. You know, this is this culture. This is why they are related to the peyote. This is the deer that they honor. So you know, like to really give a voice to this culture, give a voice to this spiritual animal and this plant and everything related to it. So yeah, like to make it possible for other people to see the importance that it has and be respectful and honor it also in that way.
And how did it go over at Burning Man when you were out there and you were, leading ceremony? How did it work here at this place as opposed to being in Mexico? What was the
Well,
reaction?
actually, yeah, we didn't do any ceremonies of peyote in Burning Man,
Mhm.
but the purpose of giving like taking Kauyumari to this other sacred land that it's also Black Rock City, it's also like to for people to understand and feel the medicine that Kauyumari gives, because I think like the way all these people involved and specifically the Wirarika culture that it's deeply involved with the peyote and Kauyumari, and myself in this deep connection with this plant, it's a way to like give all these medicine that the peyote gives and the Kauyumari gives through this ceremonial center and give this experience to all the burners in Black Rock City. And I think it really manifested that way. I was really happy to see how people interacted with Kauyumari, and people were actually like touching it, you know, like feeling it. Like sometimes I came to see Kauyumari and people were already having drum circles, cacao ceremonies, you know. So it was very beautiful to see like how people actually did feel her presence and feel her medicine and feel, you know, this connection and this aspect that it has of being a ceremonial center. It was very beautiful to see that.
Yeah, there's something cool about two powerful desert cultures kind of coming together. Burning Man is so much about ceremony and ritual. It's just really neat to be able to put those two together. Um, all right, just kind of changing gears here, talking about what it takes to build something like this. Can you walk us through the making of the Blue Deer itself? The materials, the process, how many hands were involved in the construction, and what did it take to not only build it, but to bring it into physical form and get it all the way to Nevada?
Yeah, sure. So Kauyumari is made in 55 structural pieces of metal. So for that to happen, we had like two teams of welding. Like we had in parallel, like one group making one part, and then the other group receiving that part, while the other one was already doing the other part that needed to be done for the second part. And it was like a process of a lot of things coming together. Like they were involved, like designers, architects, engineers, welders. It has also like on that's the structural part, as I said. And then afterwards, it has like another structure part, let's say, that holds all the stained glass, which are 88 stained glasses. So that's also like around 11 to 13 people involved in just that part of the stained glasses. Then it has also ceramic um, that represents the desert of Wirikuta, which is the land where the peyote grows and where Kauyumari is the guardian. And we make like around 1 month and a half workshops with the community of Torreon, Coahuila, where I am from and where uh, Kauyumari was born, with around 150 people. Actually, if you go inside Kauyumari, you can see on the behind of each of the pieces the names of the people that were involved on it, in a way to also like honor their participation and their energy, especially. So yeah, and it all has a lot of symbolism. For example, like in the center part of Kauyumari, there's these two cupolas in one cupola in each side, and one of them has a double-headed eagle, which is one of the most important elements in their culture that represents the connection between the sky and the earth. So that's why in the upper part of the cupola, it's with mirrors, so the sky can actually reflect. And in the down part, it's with those ceramics, so it represents this desert that I was telling you. And at the same time, it represents also all the four elements, because for doing ceramics, you need soil, water, and then for um, have it fired, you need fire and wind. So all the elements are involved in it. So yeah, it's all about all the representing all the important elements of this culture, representing everything that's related to this culture in different elements, in different ways. Of course, it's also with their main handicraft, that it's the Shakira. That's the one that directly was made by 18 artisans of this Wixarika culture from Jalisco, specifically from Esquitic, Jalisco. They went to Torreon, and they are the ones that made all these Shakira. That seems that's actually these visions. They have it in connection with these ceremonies that they do with the peyote. So if you like look carefully, you can see basically all the cosmology imprinted in through these visions in this Shakira work, handicraft work. So it's really a mix, a blend of all their ancestral wisdom in there, and that's why I feel it's so powerful, because it's all their cosmology in so many ways imprinted, by them directly, also by all the other people that we were involved, that we all did it with a lot of love, and we did it with all this intention. Like I started as a personal offering, but then with all these people coming together to make it, it was actually a collective offering. So it was very beautiful to be able to do it together and to be able to transmit this being a ceremonial center.
So Kauyumari has the intention was always to return it back to Mexico, yes? And is it there now?
Yes, it's now in Mexico, and it came directly from Burning Man back to Mexico. It was first in Torreon, Coahuila, where we made it because it was important for me, especially to have it there. You know, like to share it directly with the community that was part of making it. So it was in a place called Noah's Hill, that it's basically the hill that's all around Torreon, Coahuila, and it was a very beautiful way also to share it with this community, and beautiful to see also how people interacted with Kauyumari there. And then because it has also a lot of corn, which is a very important element and a very symbolic element for this culture, and for the Mexican culture in general, it was kind of an experiment, to be true, to add this alive seed. So
The live, just to be clear, there's corn, live seed corn on the sculpture itself.
exactly,
I heard an
yeah.
interesting story that I'd love for you to expand on a little bit about getting through, if not customs, sort of agriculture, and that that the piece had to be essentially like coated in some sort of poison, essentially to make sure that anything that was live was rendered, no longer
right.
viable when coming across the border. Can you share that story with us?
Yeah, exactly. That's what basically had to happen, because corn being a seed, you're not allowed to cross it over. Like it's like just to the United States or to anywhere. I mean, and it has like 10 square meters of corn. I don't know how is that in feet, no idea, but that's a lot.
Yeah.
So basically we had to fumigate it. I don't know if that's a word in English, but
Yes, it
I'm
is.
trying.
Yes.
Okay, so we had to do that, and then we had to put also a coat of this kind of plastic thing for it to stay. So then, in a way, to be able to transport it, like they were like, okay, and the only way that we could do it is that way, and also saying like, hey, it's not like we're going to eat it afterwards. It's part of a sculpture,
Yeah.
We were not going to explain that it's a ceremonial center to the customs guys. It's like it's a sculpture. It's there. It's not going to go anywhere,
Yeah.
So,
It's not pop.
but
It's
the
not for popcorn. Yeah.
exactly. But the thing is that being finally a thing that it's alive, even it got fumigated, even it got coated by this kind of resin thing. Still, like with the water that we know that rained a lot that year in Burning Man again, and all the sand also, and all the recovery, like we had to take all the sand out. We had to water press it, so a lot of the corn fell down, so we have to replace it again in Mexico to have it fully okay to show it in Torreon. But then in Torreon also rained, which is not usual in Torreon because it's desert also, and it's very dry weather, very hot weather. But anyway, it rained, and then every time it rained, the corn popped. Like it didn't matter that like not as a popcorn, but still, like it opened.
Sprout. Yeah.
Spouted. Yeah, that's the right word. So anyway, like in Torreon, the birds, because in Black Rock City there were not birds, but in Torreon there were birds, so they started eating it. So we were like, oh, that will be nice if it wasn't fumigated. So we had to put it down, I mean, take it off. And yeah, so since then it has been basically months of recovering of and giving maintenance to Kauyumari because, as I said, it's 10 square meters. And what we're doing, it's like, okay, we already replaced the corn for real corn, and it didn't work, right? So now what we're doing is making a lot of clay kernels. I mean, not corns, kernels. And also in workshops and with friends and with people and with the community in order to replace at least the ones that are fallen down, that are plenty. And at some point, have all of them replace them for clay ones.
So you
So
make the
symbolically,
individual kernels, and do you paint each kernel before you put it on, or do you paint after?
yeah, no, make each individually and then put them to the first kiln uh, fire, and then paint them like with the esmaltes. I don't know how to say esmaltes in English.
Yes.
And then put them again in the oven, and then put them in Kauyumari. So yeah, it's a lot of work.
Wow.
And we're
Well,
not
it's
50 people anymore, so it takes time. So yeah, but we're working on that, and I'm sure once Kauyumari is again refreshed and ready to go, she will go somewhere else. But in the meantime, she's in maintenance now.
Well, it's that's a good transition. Fortunately, BurnerSphere does not require any poisoning of anything to bring art in. And Kauyumari Ceremonial Center now lives here in BurnerSphere, where it can be experienced by a global audience who may never have set foot on the playa. So, what's it like for you to be in here and to kind of walk through this virtual space, see it again, and what does it mean that this piece and the culture that it honors can now reach people all over the world?
It's actually quite amazing. Like, I'm very impressed of the possibility of looking at Kauyumari here. It really like brings me joy to see Kauyumari up here. Especially, I'm really impressed and grateful for all the effort that it took for Kauyumari to be here with all the detail that it has, because you really can feel like it's there, you know. So it's very beautiful, and it's great that people can experience it this way, and especially knowing what's behind it, because for me that's very important, not to only see like, oh, that's a beautiful deer, just like, oh, okay, that's a deer and this is what it represents and it's related to this sacred plant, and you know. I'm very happy and very honored to have the opportunity to share it both directly in Burning Man and now here in BurnerSphere. And very grateful for the opportunity to share here again also all the behind, all the story behind why it's important, this indigenous community. And for me, it's very important to share through the art that I do, the connection to Mother Earth and the connection that we have to the indigenous roots that we all have, because at the end we all come from there and we are all finally indigenous one way or the other. So yeah, I think it's very important to keep alive that connection.
Beautiful. Well, and we have, in addition to this wonderful scan of the art, we have 360 bubbles. Anywhere you see the blue circles on the ground, you can go and step into a moment in time, both inside and outside the sculpture. And we also have a wonderful 3D documentary with you in your physical form, telling the story as well, that folks, when they come here, can experience. So hopefully they get the full experience in ways that sometimes you couldn't even get when you wandered across it out at Burning Man. So that is the time we have for this, and I just want to thank you, Leyla Brashka. Big round of
I
applause
stopped
for
hearing you.
bringing
Sorry.
yes.
The last part
Thank
I
you for
couldn't hear.
Thank you.
Yes,
That was
we
great.
do.
Leyla.
We do. Does anybody have any questions for Leyla? Nope. Okay. Well, we want to thank you for bringing your art.
I have
to
a
the playa.
question.
Yes.
When you
Werner.
were at the when you were at the playa,
Can you guys
What
hear
up?
me?
Yes.
Yes.
oh, can you hear me? Leyla?
Yes.
Yes.
When you were out at the playa, you brought such an amazing piece out here. Was there anyone else's piece that you looked at and like, damn? You know what I mean? Someone else's piece that they put on the playa that you thought brought it just as well as you brought it. Put in the
Yeah,
effort. Put in.
anything you saw that inspired you this last year?
Oh, you can't hear
Uh-oh.
it.
We might have lost it. We
She
might have
said
lost the
before
connection.
that she couldn't hear someone.
Okay.
Right.
Well, we're going to. I think we're going to call it there, and we'll see if we can get her back online. I know she wanted to go for a little tour and check out what else some other things about BurnerSphere, and look
I
around
would
a
love
little
to
bit.
do that.
So maybe we could do that once we get her back online. But yay! Thank you, Layla.
Yay!
Thank you,
Yay,
Leyla.
Leyla!
Wonderful.
Leyla!